Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we are back with another brand new Jurassic World Rebirth release. You can see it is from Bandai, and it is the final of the newer Plannosaurus figures, as we have the Quetzalcoatlus. It's been pretty fun getting up to this point. Some figures have been pretty awesome, some figures have been kind of lame. This one should be interesting. You can see, again, it's your traditional style, sort of like, model kit type figure, and it looks interesting enough. Over here on the side, you've got another shot of the Quetzalcoatlus. Up here on the top, some random information. As you can see, my box definitely got a little bit beat up on its way here. And again, you've got another shot over here, and pretty much the same sort of thing here for the underside. And as always, once you actually open the box, you are met with a whole bunch of stuff inside, all sorts of things that you have to pull out and assemble. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of this stuff out, then I'm going to go ahead and get the skeleton portion built, and we'll bring it in and check it out. So even though we have some more stuff laying in the background there to put together, you can see we have the skeleton portion assembled. What you can also see is there is a super nice backdrop included with this one. If we actually move the Quetzalcoatlus here out of the way completely, you can see it's basically showing off the waterfall area in Rebirth, where you do in fact see the Quetzalcoatlus, and in fact there is actually one flying up there up in the sky currently, but very nice backdrop. I love the fact that they include the backdrops with the figures. I think that is super fun. But you can see, as far as what we have here, once it is assembled in the skeleton form, the skeleton of the Quetzalcoatlus is by far the fastest and easiest of these Plannosaurus figures to put together yet. You can see it looks really nice. We can also see that you can swivel the stand here, basically, so that you can have the Quetzalcoatlus displayed from wherever you want, which is pretty cool. And once you pull it off of there, which does come off pretty easily, you can see that the actual stand itself is basically like a little cloud. It looks like a nice little cloud showing the Quetzalcoatlus flying way up in the air, and there is a little Jurassic logo right here as well, which is pretty cool. And then we have the skeleton portion itself, and again, it looks pretty decent overall. You've got the skull of the pterosaur looking pretty good. You do actually have a little articulation. You can move the head up, down, a little left and right, and swivel action right there. On top of that, you as well have, if I can get a hold of it, an articulated jaw, which can actually open really wide, which is pretty crazy. But you can see, again, that works pretty nicely. You also have the ability to articulate the neck all the way down or all the way up, giving you pretty much the ability to put that head of the and neck of the pterosaur wherever you would like. Moving back, again, as you of course lead down, you can see the bones of the neck looking really quite nice. Again, leading into the body, we can see the spinal column, the rib cage, all of that fun stuff. We also of course have the bones of the wings as you move out, and those can go up and down and forward and back and swivel, so you can basically move those wherever you would like, giving you the ability to kind of have like some nice flapping wings of your pterosaur as you lead out. Again, all of the bones here look pretty decent. Nothing too overly impressive when it comes to the fine detail, but decent enough. And you'll see the same exact type of articulation and everything on the opposing side there. And of course, you can move the legs as well. Again, out away from the body, forward, back. All sorts of movements that you can achieve with the legs of the pterosaur, and again, same thing on both sides. And as you move down, you can see that as well looks really quite nice. We've got the toes and everything, the tail of the Quetzalcoatlus, and if you look at it from the underside, again, pretty decent. It's not quite as impressive as some of the dinosaur skeletons, but it's decent enough, again, as far as a Quetzalcoatlus skeleton. So we're going to go ahead, keep moving forward here, get the skin of the pterosaur put on, and we'll check it out from there. So we are now furthering on here. We have the skin and everything put on our pterosaur, again displayed in front of the backdrop, looking pretty cool. Of course, we don't need to keep doing that, but I like to kind of give you guys a feel for how it would look displayed in each of the different versions. Now I have to pull it back off of the little stand. As you can see, once you actually change it to the skinned version or the living version, obviously the way that it applies to the base is a little bit different. But starting here in the head sculpt of the Quetzalcoatlus, you can see it looks really nice. There's some beautiful detail here within the beak. I think they overall did a fantastic job on the fine detail, especially here in the beak. And of course, you'll see the same thing from the other side. You do have an articulated jaw still, so you can articulate that area, which is nice as far as, you know, giving you some display options. You also still have a little bit of articulation right here, which does pop off kind of easily, so just something to be careful with. But as you move back, you can see the eye area nicely sculpted, some very impressive kind of pycnofibers and stuff as we move back. The wings are going to continuously get in the way of the camera right now. As you move down through the side of the neck, the detail continues to look really good. Again, there's just not much in the way of color, because the only color you really have is a dark blue for the body, and then the beak is kind of like a light grayish tone, and that's really about it at this point in time until we start to apply the dreaded stickers. As you move all the way down, you still can articulate the neck up and down. I didn't think you could swivel, just up and down, not really much in the way of left and right, maybe slightly. Moving into the body of the Quetzalcoatlus, again, you can see it looks pretty nice. Like, it's definitely fairly highly detailed, and I have to hand it to Bandai when it comes to these Plannosaurus figures. The actual sculpts are fairly well done. They definitely look good and very highly detailed, some better than others, but it's the stickers that then become the issue as we move through. As you lead out into the wings, you can see all of like the veins and everything leading through. You can also see again the actual sort of like arm area of the pterosaur looks really good as well. Again, same deal as we move over here. You're not going to see much in the way of any sort of difference. And then you lead down here. Even the undersides of the feet are actually really well sculpted. The claws look a little bit goofy, very rounded, but still half decent. And then when you come to the underside, you're going to see pretty close to the same sort of thing. You know, not really a massive difference from one side to the other when it comes to this figure and the overall look and feel. The only thing that is a little bit of a bummer about this one, and I wasn't too sure if it would be the case, is you can only have it in a flying pose. Whereas when they had released the Pteranodon you could actually have in a standing or flying pose. The Quetzalcoatlus is only given the flying pose. That's really it. So you don't have as many options as far as displays go with this one. You can still articulate the wings though, which is nice. So you can get kind of like a flying pose with the wings down, or a flying pose with the wings up, or just soaring. That's really up to you. There's not massive amounts of articulation, but decent enough. As you can see from the front, again, you've got some nice wing flaps for the Quetzalcoatlus. But we're going to continue to move forward again. We'll get the stickers on, and then we'll check out the final product once we're done there. So there we are. Now we are finally done. And honestly, the Quetzalcoatlus, I always have the problem taking this off of here. There we go. Well, I collapsed it all. But the Quetzalcoatlus is one of the nicer looking ones with the stickers, which is nice. I feel like the last like 3 were somehow like the best of the bunch when it comes to the actual sticker application. You can see you've got the coloration there on the beak, those little spots on the beak. You also have the eye coloration, as well as a little bit of extra kind of darker blues there that lead all around the head and then kind of stripe down the neck a little ways, which again doesn't look terrible. It could look better, of course, if it were actual paintwork, but not too bad. But it's when you come to the wings that I think the figure really stands out when it comes to the stickers, and actually I think the stickers make it look even better than if it were painted, because you can see they went and added basically all of like the small veins and even more minute veins all throughout the course of the wing. And on top of that, the blue used is super vibrant. It really is quite appealing looking, and you'll see the same on both sides of the wings. But once you turn it around, you again have pretty much the same sort of visual, again with super vibrant colors on the underside with oranges and yellows. And then of course, again, you can see all of the different veins and stuff as you lead through. So shockingly, I think the stickers work really nicely on this version of the Quetzalcoatlus, making it probably the best overall, but definitely one of the best for sure. But again, I think maybe I would say it's the best as a whole when it comes to the Plannosaurus Jurassic World Rebirth figures and just how good the stickers look. As far as a size goes, we're going to have to go ahead and put it back actually here on the base. So let me do that and then we'll come right back. So for a length, let's go ahead and get that head just a little bit straighter. from the beak to the feet about 7 inches, or around 17.5, closing in on 18 centimeters. And then for a wingspan, you are looking at about 11.5 inches, or a little over 29, I'd say about 29.5 centimeters actually. And then for a height, with it sitting on the base to the top of the quills there on the head, about 4.5 inches, or a little bit maybe about 11.5 centimeters. I was going to say maybe a little under, but actually about 11.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day Human Being next to our Quetzalcoatlus, and as you can see, it's pretty much exactly where you would expect it to be size-wise. It's definitely not far off from where you would normally find the Plannosaurus figures, and it's obviously not the smallest Quetzalcoatlus, but it's also far from the largest Quetzalcoatlus we've had in the Rebirth line, so this is somewhere in the middle area, showing you that, again, it's got a decent size to it, but by no means an inconvenient size. And then when it comes to a few comparisons with the other Plannosaurus Rebirth figures, here is the Mosasaurus, which is obviously a good bit larger, as well as the really nice Titanosaurus. Again, I would say that one is probably my favorite from the line overall. There is also the T-Rex, which I would say is probably my least favorite from the line, but you can see again, sizes up fairly nicely with the Quetzalcoatlus. And then we've also got the Spinosaurus, which you can see again, pretty much the same size as the Rex, so, decently sized next to the Quetzalcoatlus. And since most of the other Rebirth Quetzalcoatlus are going to be significantly larger than this, the closest one I can think of would probably be the Takara Tomy version, but obviously the Bandai version here, again, is definitely a little bit bigger than the Takara Tomy. So this Bandai Jurassic World Rebirth Plannosaurus Quetzalcoatlus is pretty fun, honestly. It's definitely one of the nicer looking. I would say there's 3 really nice looking figures in the line. That would be the Spino, which was kind of decent, the Titanosaurus, which I thought was gorgeous, and then this Quetzalcoatlus, which is not too far behind the Titanosaurus for me. It's definitely my second favorite overall. Sculpt-wise, I think they did a tremendous job on this. It definitely looks like it does on screen. There's also a lot of very impressive fine detail throughout, making the figure quite highly detailed as a whole. There's also some fun articulation. Again, not as much once you actually put the, skin and everything on. Once you turn it into a real living version of the Quetzalcoatlus, there's not as much articulation, but still a little bit, making it, again, still somewhat posable, more so when you have it in the skeleton form. But again, the fact that you can display it in either the skeleton form or the living version is also really fun. I love the base on top of that. I think the fact that it's kind of like a cloud sort of a look is really cool. Definitely a fun idea on the part of Bandai. And the stickers, again, they don't look that bad on this one. I think overall they look pretty decent and actually give you colors that might be a little bit more vibrant than if you actually had painted it. So, and actually even more detail within the skin of the wings, because there is a lot of detail to be found in there. So without a doubt, it's a fun release. If you are interested, I will include a link in the description to where I purchased mine on Aliexpress, or you can purchase it on Big Bad Toy Store, and I think potentially on Amazon. But if you are interested, I'd say definitely pick it up, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.